So Paul Burgers has a very long experience working on the grassroots level with agroforestry projects in Africa and Asia. First as an academic from the Utrecht and Wageningen University, but then he switched over to the other side because he really missed the work with the communities, and the communities were also asking him, so how is this research going to help our lives? And he decided that he wants to do something different to really catalyze change. And if we move on to the next slide. Yes, we have your favorite book. Do you want to do it, to talk about it, or should I?
It's my first book that I got when I was 5 years old. So it was, I still have it. It's the same book that I still keep, so must have been a precious gift. I've always been reading it, and then throughout my childhood, Tarzan has been my big hero, and Winnie too. So that already explains a bit my focus, because in Carnival in my hometown, close to Aachen, close to Maastricht, all the boys wanted to be the cowboy, but I always wanted to be the indigenous guy. So that already, when I was thinking about it, that's always been throughout my life, taking the part of the guy who is doing something with nature, or the indigenous guy, or a small kid in the jungle. Should I go continue then?
Yes, or we would like to take the virtual tour visit first before,
Okay.
or we play it at the end. Okay, okay, we play it at the end, or no, or right now. Of course.
All right, so yeah, throughout my life, as I said, I've been looking at, especially indigenous people from my childhood onwards, and this little boy that was dreaming about the wildlife, got his first job in Africa, in Zimbabwe, where I worked for 3 years. Then I moved to Indonesia, worked there for 4 years with the World Agroforestry Center. The funny thing was, they always called me something. In Zimbabwe, they said always to me, "You're our white black man." And in Indonesia, they said, "You are orang kita," meaning you're one of us. So it really feels like maybe there is a reincarnation, I don't know. But from my childhood onwards, I've been always working with local people and feeling very at ease with them. That has helped me a lot when we started this program, 2010 already. We started to experiment a carbon project, so we were one of the first ones probably to get going, to do something, because I did my Ph.D. on why farmers would plant trees, what would be the advantage to them. So I thought, instead of putting a book in the shelf and presenting at conferences, do something with your work. So that's why we started in Singkarak, Lake Singkarak in West Sumatra. We followed just with the farmers what they usually do, plowing the land, getting rid of the weeds, planting the trees. Back. But that was a complete failure, didn't work. because the soils dried out. The soils are very dry in these areas. The sun was penetrating, it got very dry, and the trees couldn't survive. So we were struggling a bit, how can we make this work? Then I got very lucky. I'm a lucky guy, I must say. FAO approached us, asking us if we wanted to test concept of assisted natural regeneration. What is that? ANR. So all the farmers would need is a wooden plank and a piece of rope and press the weeds. So instead of working against nature, we started to think about working with nature. So what can we do to help the farmers in a very cheap way? So all they need is this wooden plank. So even the poorest farmer are joining our program, because everybody has a piece of wood somewhere and a piece of rope. If not, the neighbor has one. And they just do the pressing of the grass. What happens, the grass below starts to decay because it's very moist. It provides a very nice isolation blanket against solar radiation. So the soil remains moist the entire year. So that's very efficient for planting trees. So they get moisture the whole year round. And they don't have to work hard with their chankul, with their plowing. It's just a matter of 3 times pressing and your weeds are gone because the trees are growing. Doesn't always work. We have new areas where there is a lot of ferns. Ferns bounce back after pressing. So that was a bit of another challenge. How do we do that? So we decided just to use a cutter and cut the ferns and leave it on the ground. Also provide an isolation blanket for the soil. We have a new site in Timor, eastern Indonesia, which is very similar to my Zimbabwe experience. Very dry, semi-arid region. There is no biomass, so you cannot use pressing. What we do here is we use cuttings of Gliricidia. They call it in Indonesia kayu hujan, which means rainwood. You just put a stick in the ground in the rainy season, and it starts to develop roots and starts to develop branches. So this is the first start to let nature work. In the dry season, it will lose the leaves. So we're already getting 1 centimeter of biomass after 2 years. And we let it grow a bit, and once we have 2 centimeters, we can start planting trees because we know the biomass will decay and will absorb carbon in the soil, and the trees will grow better. This is there's a fashion forest, we call it, because we are growing cotton, local cotton, non-irrigated cotton, with maize. We have kapok trees. Kapok is good for fellings, but it's also now used in the textile industry. We are growing natural dye trees, so people have always been using natural dyes in this area. So we are integrating everything, and that's why we call it the fashion forest. So we get a lot of attention from the fashion industry these days. We are working with an Indonesian social enterprise called Sukacita. They do very responsible clothing, and we work with them in this area as well. Yeah, so we were doing our job, and we were working, feeling happy with our assisted natural regeneration, but what happened, of course, we had to deal with corrupt village leaders and Adat leaders, and Kofi already mentioned it. Adat seems to be okay. I'm a social scientist, so we started working from the social perspective, involved the local Adat leaders. They're working against the project, not with the project, because indeed, as Kofi said, they have different priorities. So we got a big meeting, and farmers were asking me, because they say, you're one of us, help us to get rid of these guys. So this was the actual meeting. You can see the village leader looking like, can I escape this room? It was in the mosque, so it was neutral territory. Not feeling happy, and it was really shouting and fighting, almost fist fighting, not yet. So in the end, we got the village head fired from his position. We got all the other leaders thrown out of the cooperatives because farmers said, we want to discuss with each other. If there's a problem, we want to talk with each other. And we can't do that if these high-level people are in our groups. So that was another threshold moment for making this project more successful, because it became a highly democratized system from that moment on. And still up to date, that still survives. Farmers choose themselves who will be new members, who can be new members. If there's another leader that say, no, make your own group, we don't want you. So that's really working quite well, and we do that in all the villages. We explain it to them, and because we have a performance-based contract, so the farmers have to perform every year before they get their carbon payments. And that only can work if you, as a group, can discuss with each other, you can punish each other, warn and help each other. And that's how we are working at the moment. That works very well. Threshold moment 3, almost 1 year ago, we got our Vivo Certification done. That really boosted our business. So really getting a lot of new clients. Over the past year, we had 55,000 credits for sale, and they're all gone already in 1 year. So it's really moving quite fast. So after working for 10 years with farmers, this is how the landscape is looking, because we let the farmers decide what to plant and how to plant. So we have every hectare, it's almost different. So in the left, we have a very intensive 1 hectare of coffee robusta, cinnamon, fruit trees. In the middle, a bit more open with clove trees, fruit trees, and timber trees. This one also because farmer decided to plant chili peppers the first 2 years. So we are now integrating trees in the open spaces to make it more dense and get more carbon. This one is very open, but yeah, the farmer is happy with it, so he can do it. And that's how in the landscape you have a very diverse, biodiverse landscape. So what are our achievements? As indeed we are living our dreams. When we started in 2010 in Paningan village, we were looking at that degraded hill, and we were saying with my Indonesian team, say, wow, that would have been great if one day this hill would be covered with trees. And everyone laughing, yeah, you will be pensioned by the time. I said, that's fine, as long as I can still see it. 10 years later, it's already done. So that's really amazing. So it's not only we had a project here and we had a project here. So this is all natural regenerated because farmers are now taking care of the natural resources and the hills. And there's no more fire. There used to be wildfires every year. For 12 years, not one fire anymore. So this whole area, which is probably 500 hectares, which we are now getting identified and hopefully certified on the Plan Vivo, has been regenerated naturally. So that's also what is happening in other villages. We look small, but the indirect effect is really big. Achievement 3, 2, more things are happy. Our animals who are walking around in the forest, agroforest also happy. They like to take selfies. I got hundreds of them. So they're quite happy. This lady is a bit laughing about her husband, not understanding it. And this one, yes, the Sumatran tiger, we have him once a year passing through our site. One night he was there when we were in our hut on the hill. Was afterwards a nice story, not when he was not when he was there. Anyway, and we have Asian leopard, we have a lot of birds, we have a lot of animals that are now coming back. Farmers are also incredibly positive when we hang up the cameras. They run up every week and then they make pictures and they have their mobile phone. Papa, look what's on the picture, look what we have. So they're also really happy to see all this coming back. So villagers are also happy. So we have quite a lot of fun every time when we are there. And since we have now already trees which are 14 years old, quite a large area, there's a lot of products are coming from it, but farmers are getting very low paid for it because they cannot sell a processed product. So we have started last year to help them to do local processing in the villages. So we have set up a big coffee processing unit. So the first coffee is coming in January to the Netherlands. And we're going to test and with a local roaster. Of course, sustainable because the roaster is working with refugees and homeless people. So that's also how we look at sustainability throughout the entire value chain. So soon in February, March, June, we will get about 2,000 kilograms. So check our website if you want to buy. And we already have one type graded as specialty coffee, which is the highest quality coffee. So they're doing quite a good job, the farmers. We got palm sugar from the forest. This one is HACCP certified and organic. We have a distilling unit for clove leaves. You can get essential oils from it, which is used in the soap industry or perfume industry. Getting very high income from that, so farmers are very happy. So we're supporting them also to make the entire circle closed. So we have some impact. It's only West Sumatra. Timor, we have similar figures, but not yet fully accounted for. So we have 350 hectares directly done, but as you said, the 500 hectares which are naturally regenerated, we haven't accounted for. Almost 500 families now working with us, almost 500,000 trees actually growing. So there was this question about tree planting. There's a difference between tree planting and tree growing. So we have a contract for 5 years with our farmers. That means tree growing. So every time a tree dies, replace the tree, replace the trees. After 5 years, we know everything is 95% survival. And our credits last for 30 years, so we're doing okay, I think. And we have got some CO2 sequestered already. I'm finished, though. So we also have to do monitoring, of course, part of Vivo Certification, but we already started that a long time ago. You can see our ladies, very strong ladies, even in the rain, they would still do the carbon assessment, go out to the field with the guys, use the umbrella and just continue working, even in rainy weather. We have socioeconomic service to look at income improvements from the trees. We make use of students from the local universities. So we also help them in the capacity building. So my scientific background comes back a little bit there, supervising local students. Hey, back. And now we have biodiversity monitoring. So he's putting up the camera here. And we're now, in January, we will do a below-ground biodiversity monitoring through all the sites. So we have new ones. We have 14-year-old sites. So hopefully we can find some very nice results of below-ground changes. And we are working on bioacoustics. We want to start in January, but I just heard the equipment cannot be bought. We have to wait till March, so that's a bit of a pity. But we will make it anyway, soon. Yeah, so how are we looking at the future? So proof of concept phase already passed a long time ago. We are somewhere here. So we're already, if we include Timor, we have already achieved the 1,120 hectares. By now, we are moving towards 2,000 hectares. We do have quite a lot of clients already who want to build a new forest with us. So that's why our demand is not so high probably compared to others, because we already have a lot of attention, but of course it can always go faster. So we got money from FMO Bank, Dutch Development Bank, and that really works well to get pre-financing. So we are looking at more pre-financing as well, beside the carbon project. So the blue one is especially for adding hectares, 700 hectares. The yellow is for improving our product development, buying better equipment for processing of coffee, maybe even a roasting equipment. We have some experts, coffee experts in our team, so they're really looking forward to get that going. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Hope lies in dreams and in the courage of making dreams a reality. So I was always accused of being a dreamer and you can't do it, you dream too much, but I think I proved them wrong, and my dream has become a reality. And there's our team in West Sumatra. Yeah, that's my son who came to visit. He lived in Indonesia when he was young, so it was his first time back. And so we're growing. We're adding another 3 people this year for the biodiversity. So it's really a big team. And Timor, we will have the same in a few years. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks so much.